Do you want to have the power to design your own reality? In this video, I will teach you how to become the architect of your inner sanctuary and shape your consciousness to create the life you desire. But before we begin, I need your help. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel so that together we can illuminate more lives. Activate the notification bell and leave your gratitude in the comments. Join our community and discover the power of your mind. At this very moment, someone is walking the path of resentment and uncontrolled thoughts. Perhaps, confined in a dungeon tonight, someone is entering the battlefield, and a young person in the field, fascinated by the idea, longs to become a hero, fantasizing about transforming into a great general who leads the devastation of the world. William Blake, in his poem The Four Zoas, A Dream of Nine Nights, addresses the descent of God into division and his resurrection into unity. His fall into generation, decay, and death, and his rebirth into the unity of a father. Linking his poem with Ephesians 6 verse 12, he states that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Thus, we see that the fall into division and the resurrection into unity are mental processes from beginning to end. The Bible refers to the building of a specific temple, and every day we are constructing our sanctuary for the dwelling of God the Father. In Ephesians chapter 2, it is revealed that the whole structure is being fitted together, becoming a holy temple in the Lord, in which you two are being built together as a living structure of God in the Spirit. In other words, as you build your structure and I build mine, we fit together as living stones in God's construction. Let me illustrate this with a story I heard last week. A woman, who recently gave birth to a son, shared her dream. In the dream, she is three people: herself, a man, and a green puppy. As herself, she longs for a green puppy. As the man, she transforms into another, seeing her dog stand out among the others, shining like the sun. She understands that all she needs to do is wait for its arrival. In the dream, she is always the sender. When something needs to be told, she tells another that it is her, and then she becomes another to narrate the story to the third, transforming into the third, telling the second to tell the first. As the third person speaking, she hears the message as the second and tells herself as the first, "The puppy is yours now." As the first person, her puppy disappears, and she contemplates the numerous new buildings being erected. She remembers that her building is finished and all she needs to do is turn around to claim it. When her baby cries and wakes her up, the vision seems meaningless, but it holds a profound significance. The shining green puppy represents drinking from the scriptures. The one who leads is the one who accompanies Joshua to the promised land. In the story, Caleb, having faith in the God who promised lands to Israel, was sent by Moses along with other spies to Canaan. Upon returning, Caleb said to attack immediately, but the fearful men were afraid. So, only the two who lead, with Joshua being the Hebrew form of the word Jesus, entered their dream. She awaits a green puppy. The word green in this dream means full of sap, exuberant health. Filled with faith in the God who promised the land to Israel, highly recommended to lead. Only two can enter, others were with the dog, and others will find it, as she is not the only one entering the promised land. Now, as the one waiting for her companion, God as the third, the second is informed and tells the first that the dog now belongs to her. The experience repeats as she once again becomes the sender, the narrator, but never the receiver, because God only acts and dwells in existing beings or in men. Now, as the first person, she realizes that the puppy has disappeared because she has already entered the promised land. As she contemplates the fabulous construction in progress, she is reminded that her building is complete and all she needs to do is turn around and see. There are two passages in the scriptures, one in Acts 12 and the other in Luke 15, where the Greek word ophenes is translated as came to himself. In Luke, these words were spoken about the prodigal son, and in Acts, Peter was arrested and chained. His clothes were sold, and he was alone in the cell when the angel of the Lord entered, touched him, and when he rose, it is said, came to himself. Now, this word ophenes could have been translated as turned around, it is finished, married. She hears the words, all you need to do is turn around. turn, and you will see the finished structure as a living stone. Now you have contributed to the overall structure, which is the temple of the living God. I know from personal experience that everyone contributes to that living stone called the kingdom of heaven. You will be turned by a force greater than anything known to man, but this will not happen until the end. You cannot turn physically, nor can you force the mind to do so. Blake tells us that God divided, and this woman divided into three. Now, reaching the end of the journey, when the force that holds you in this world is released, you will turn to see the structure your Father built. And you will know that you or he, your temple was not built by another. He who began a good work in you will complete it on the day of Jesus Christ. Who is he? It is I who began the good work in you. I have tested you in the furnaces of affliction for my own sake. I do it for my own sake, for how could my name be profaned? I will not give my glory to another. Your journey has come to an end, my dear. You have had the perfect vision. Your building is complete and all you need to do is turn around. This will come at the end, for if you turn now, it will disappear, for, like Paul, you have fought the good fight. Let no one tell you that Paul was exaggerating. It is a battle, for we are not wrestling against flesh and blood at the present moment. Someone is trampling the grapes of resentment in the winepress, and uncontrolled thoughts are being launched into the air on the wings of emotions. Perhaps, at this very moment, someone is sitting in a dark cell, squeezing the bitter fruits of war, and a child somewhere in the world clings to that idea, longing to become a hero by transforming into a great general who leads the annihilation of the planet. He is immersed in his daydreams, and there is no way to stop his fantasy. Therefore, you are not wrestling against beings of flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and spiritual wickedness that dwell in the heavenly realms. And heaven resides within you, deep in your mind. These abominable and repugnant entities are carved, they are invisible traps that hover over you at all times, day and night. How exciting it is to receive a missive of this kind. The building is complete. Now understand that all you have to do is give the order. She issued the command, perceived herself as another person receiving it, but when the message needs to be told again, she resumes the role of narrator. And when the experience needs to be lived, she will be the one to live it. Consequently, only God acts and dwells in existing beings or in men, for God interprets all roles. In the end, everyone brings their living temple to the dwelling of God. The Epistle to the Ephesians explains how the structure is assembled and the holy temple expands in the Spirit. It is a spiritual time, not an earthly one. The scriptures refer to the church as the body of Christ, but the word translated as church refers to the communion of the assembly of the redeemed. It is the congregation of those whose construction is complete, playing the role of receivers. We are the builder, finding ourselves as Joshua, who is Jesus, being led to the promised land as the scriptures are fulfilled, having shone like the sun to guide us. The one who leads fades away, leaving only Jesus. And who is Jesus? Your wonderful human imagination. Let me share another story. 3 years ago, in a dream, this lady beheld a man who embodied everything she could desire. They fell deeply in love and an engagement was announced. Believing she was awake, she put on her robe and withdrew, waiting for him to join her. However, upon entering the room, the man shook his head and declared, "Not yet, but I will return this month." The same man returned and indicated with his gaze that they were coming to fulfill the marriage promise. I can assure you that, although it has not yet materialized, she had the perfect revelation of what the future holds for her. Now she has the certainty that I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. All of this is beautiful symbolism. This lady is not about to marry in our world with a flesh and blood man of such magnitude. No, he is the symbol of the being mentioned in the book of Isaiah. Her maker is her husband, the Lord of hosts is his name. The promise is being fulfilled in her, and one day she will turn inward and become the living temple of the risen Lord. I saw the temple when I left the relative age, entering a completely different age. Like Paul, it is my desire to depart and be with Christ, but at this moment it is more important to encourage you, even if you are wrestling against principalities, powers of darkness, and all the horrors of the world. but I witnessed the construction that was taking place for you, not by someone else, but by your deepest self, which is God the Father. In 1952, while residing in New York City, I felt a thirst that only the experience of God could quench. As a deer pants for water, so my soul longs for you, O God. Then, one night, unexpectedly, I found myself fulfilling Psalm 42. I recall these memories as I pour out my soul, just as with the multitude, leading them in procession to the house of God. On that night, I saw myself leading a massive procession to the divine dwelling. We were still some distance away, but as I led them, a voice proclaimed, "I am, and God walks with them." A woman beside me questioned the voice, asking, "If God walks with us, where is He?" The voice responded, "At your side, looking directly at me." Seeing a man of flesh and blood, she exclaimed, "Are you saying that Neville is God?" The voice affirmed, "Yes." In the act of awakening. Then, the voice addressed only me, revealing, "I laid myself within you to sleep. While I slept, I dreamed. And suddenly I realized that he was dreaming that he was me." At that moment, the memory returned, and I became 6 voices that felt entering my hands, my feet, my head, and my side. It was then that I experienced the ecstasy of the crucifixion. Paul, in his epistle to the Romans, divided the times, stating, "If we have been united with him in a death like his, we shall certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his." The crucifixion has already occurred. He chose us in him before the foundation of the world. If this is true, then the universal Christ has given himself to us. He declared, "No one takes my life from me, I lay it down of my own accord." I have the power to lay it down and the power to take it up again. And we lie with him because he chose us in him before the foundation of the world. Therefore, if you are united with him in a death like his, you will undoubtedly be united with him in a resurrection like his. I know this is true because he rose in me, confirming the account of the scriptures. This is how the structure is perfected and grows in God. And when the final curtain falls and the temple is perfect, you will be God the Father, and I will be God the Father, but none of us will lose our identity. Now I invite you to continue testing your creative power by practicing revision. If you hear something unpleasant, do not accept it, revise it immediately. Hear the words that should have been spoken and convince yourself as best you can that they were. What would it matter if you owned the world tonight but left tomorrow to find yourself working as a cook, serving donuts? Live your life fully while you are here, but remember that you cannot take your riches with you. So, enjoy the things of this world and apply this wonderful law to yourself and others, for imagination truly creates reality. Remember, you are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, the darkness of the rulers of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. One day, you who fell into division will rise in unity. Now, let us enter into silence. I trust that you found this content valuable and that you have benefited from it. My purpose with this channel is to help you thrive financially, and it all begins, of course, in the mind. But I always emphasize that action is also necessary. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe to help strengthen our channel and continue bringing light to the lives of many people, just like yours. A big hug, and until the next video.